Apple dropped the new 7th generation iPad mini without fanfare, and it's the only A17 Pro powered iPad that exists. And I've ordered one. But why? Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell. The iPad, the first generation, was actually my first iPad, and I've still got it. And honestly, it's probably still the best form factor for an iPad. If you want a massive screen and you're not doing art, a MacBook is probably a better call in most circumstances. But iPad mini as a notepad, as a pocket computer, I don't think it can be beaten. Now, this is not the iPad mini I was hoping for. I 100% think Apple has dropped the ball here. And to know why, we have to look at the rest of the iPad landscape that it's coming into. And no, I wasn't hoping for an iPad mini Pro. I don't care about refresh rate going above 60Hz, and neither do 90% of the potential buyers. It just doesn't matter to most people, regardless of what the people commenting on this tech video probably think. I'm not going to lie, I was on the fence. Should I just get the last generation iPad mini or wait for this one? Then Apple didn't really make it a clean and clear yes for me to go for this one. I actually thought we were going to get M2, and I've said this in the past, and I know that's not what the rest of the industry expected, but hear me out. The 11-inch iPad with M2 is $599. The 13-inch with M2 is $799. Make the iPad mini into a 9-inch iPad Air, and $499 is still overpriced, if anything, all else being equal. And it is. 128 gigs of storage, laminated display, Touch ID. Yep, the mini gets an iPhone chip, which is what most people expected. But why? I mean, I guess I'm not going to multitask with it anyway, but can I run Final Cut or Logic on it? Unclear, but from the looks of things, Logic yes, Final Cut no. And regardless of whether I could or not, I'd certainly not be using the car crash that is Stage Manager. Now, I will get Apple Intelligence with it, but will I get iPhone 16 levels of Apple Intelligence? Will visual intelligence features come to it? Will that come on the similarly priced iPhone SE4, which will probably be smaller, have a probably better camera, and probably an A18 inside it? Or is that also going to get an A17 Pro as well, if Apple can still make them? Or are they making A17 Pro on a new node and just calling it A17 Pro for marketing reasons? There's so many questions, and that's probably not something that we'll know until iFixit gets their hands on one and pulls it to bits. Should I even be buying this? I genuinely don't know, but buying a used last gen model would give me a 2-year-older chip without Apple Intelligence, half the storage, and all of this is forgetting the fact that the battery will be in less than optimum shape compared to a brand new one. And at the same time, the A17 is presumably around the performance of an M3, assuming they're producing it on the same node as the A17 Pro from last time in terms of the single core performance. So probably for most of what you're going to do on an iPad, it's faster for 95% of tasks, assuming you're not using it for video exports or heavy multi-threaded workflows, which it's an iPad. Why would you be? Would I love to try Final Cut Pro on an iPad mini? Yeah. Will it matter that I can't? No. There's always things like LumaFusion or CapCut that I can use to fill the gap. But the iPad mini is the right form factor for an iPad. It's pocketable. It's the one that will actually go with you everywhere, and you won't be worried about bending it because it just isn't big enough to have that much torsion on it. Right now I use the iPad for watching YouTube, reading books, referencing music during singing rehearsals, and for that the iPad mini will be better than the first gen 11-year-old first generation iPad Air that I'm using for those things right now. But I'm hoping I can also use it for gaming, for art, as a decent second camera for filming, or as a monitor, a web browser, and a bunch of other stuff too. And that means that I can sell off my old iPhone 14 Pro so that I can fund this. So if you want one of those, hit me up in the comments. And if I can, amazing, it's fully worthwhile. So stick around and see how we get on with it and what else we're expecting from Apple on the Mac side of things in the coming months. It's the first time I'm not really sure if this is a good purchase. The smallest iPad alongside the biggest iPhone in the same year. So I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on it. Anyway, thanks for staying all the way to the end. Thank you to my generous and attractive Patreons. Look how pretty they all are. And if you've not checked it out yet, I have a second channel now, iCaveDave, and it's where I paint little Warhammer figures, and it makes me happy. So go and give it a check out. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell.